All right. Good morning. Today is Tuesday. It is March 20 something. God, what is the date today? I don't know. 27th? How did that happen? March 27th already? Ay. Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Lori. Let's see if I get anyone. I'm over on YouTube as well today. So the 27th, wow. It's craziness. I think I just got a like from somebody else, but for some reason it's not telling me. Oh, good, Kiki's on. Hi, Kiki. Awesome. Okay. So following yesterday's Money Monday, I thought that we'd keep with the theme of each day having a different special topic. And I decided that Tuesdays would be True Life Tuesdays, where I would share a story that was meaningful to me and, just kind of talk about stuff. Like, I love storytelling. I think it's one of those things that it's an ancient art, and it is something that really allows us as humans to understand each other on our level. There are always signs coming to us from the universe, from God, from whatever you want to call the source of everything. There is such a beautiful truth to this. And we sometimes deny it. We sometimes pretend like, oh, maybe this message isn't for me. But I've found that messengers come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. And sometimes it's certain numbers repeated. I know a lot of us see the angel numbers 444, 555, 1111, 777. Those numbers are super important. The other thing that you might see are certain words or certain, initials, letters. I know I see a lot of that. And then what about animals? And, you guys know my butterfly obsession, so we won't get into that. But I also find that another common messenger is birds. So anyone who's watching, if you have a bird that shows up for you as a messenger, tell me what kind. I know it's super common for people's ancestor or, spirit guides or, past relatives to come through as cardinals, sometimes even blue jays. So does anyone have a bird that really, when they see it, they know it's meaningful? I'll also share mine. I have a couple. So on my tattoo on my back, I have robins because every time I would see a robin in springtime, I would think of my grandmother who passed away when I was 19 years old. And that's always been really, really meaningful to me, the robins, and they're everywhere right now. And I think that's kind of what triggered this topic. The other bird that I see a lot of are hawks. So I don't know if my chat's broken or if you guys just don't have birds that you see that resonate with you. Is that even possible? But I'm not seeing, oh, awesome. You see cardinals. Yes, you see cardinals often. Yeah, cardinals are super common, Kristen, for, spirits. Cardinals as well. Yeah. So I want to tell a story. When I was 21 years old, I was living in San Francisco, and I think this was the second time I was living there. So I think I was 23. Lori loves the tufted titmouse. I'm sorry. I'm so inappropriate. I'm 5. 31 going on 5. Okay, Danielle sees hawks all the time and crows. Okay, that's where my story's going. I got to look up this tufted titmouse, though, Lori. That's awesome. Okay, so with that, so I was in San Francisco. I believe it was the second time I lived there. I was I didn't know what I was doing. In fact, I'm trying to remember. I'm remembering now. I didn't have a job. The second time I moved to San Francisco. For some reason, I didn't want to waitress, or I couldn't get the same waitressing gig, or I couldn't get enough hours, something like that. And I was kind of desperate for money. And I remember one day being like, I just want I just need like $80 to get through the next couple of days. Like, this is all I need. Please, where is this going to come from? And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, so it's all kind of tying together. But I wound up going for a walk. because I love to walk. So sometimes when we feel like we're stuck, go do something you love. When you're feeling like icky and things are getting heavy, go for a walk, go take a bath, go do some yoga, go to the coffee shop, do something that feels good for you. So I took a walk and I walked to Twin Peaks in San Francisco. And if you've been to the city, there are these beautiful double mountains, like that overlook, not mountains, hills really, but they overlook the entire city. Very divine feminine, these two twin peaks that kind of look like, boobs. So I'm sitting up there, and I'd gone there a lot back then. I went almost every day. And I'm up there and I'm looking around, and all I can think is, like, wow, what a beautiful city. And then all of a sudden, 6 crows, ravens, actually, these things were massive. These massive ravens come and start circling around me. And I remember standing there being like, I feel like a witch. Like, what's happening? One of the ravens landed right next to me. Not kidding. Looked at me. Was just like, I was sitting on the side of this hill, and he was like within, I could have reached out and touched him. And he looked at me with all the wisdom of the world. And I remember just being like, what just happened? And they flew away. And I started walking down the hill, and then, down this pedestrian kind of walking structure, because, it's so hilly in San Francisco, they have to put in like staircases basically for people to walk down. So I'm going down this windy ramp, and literally I found a $20 bill. I was like, oh, looking around. Hey, does anybody have me, anyone lose some money? Keep going. I find another $20 bill. No one's around. It's early in the morning. I'm like, hello, did anyone lose some money? I'm even like calling out. I go a little bit further down this ramp. I found another $20. And yes, another one. So I found $80 in cold hard cash right after seeing this raven. And I remember I went straight to like the local, bookstore witchy shop that had it was like an apothecary. And I loved that store so much. I wish they had them around here more. But I went right there and I picked up a book on totem animals, and I just start reading about what it is that a raven represents. And they're tricksters, but they ultimately are harbingers of good fortune, even though you think they aren't, because they're so black, and they do symbolize death as well. But death is also rebirth. So that was my little silly story about one day in San Francisco when my faith in the universe was renewed. And I think we all have these stories where little things happen and we want to just, brush it off and pretend like, oh, but life is just 3-dimensional, and it's just, we're just going through the motions, and you just wake up, you go to work, you come home, you go to sleep, and you repeat until you're 90. And then there's moments like that, moments where you just laugh because it doesn't make any sense at all. And I think what we have to remember, all of us, is that we are not human. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I feel like a straight up alien sometimes. Like, we are not just humans in these bodies, like just an animal with a little extra intelligence. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And God, universe, source, creator, goddess, whatever you want to call it, is constantly looking over us, reaching out to us, offering us what we need in that moment. So I think it's important that we remember that we're always, always, always being reminded of what it is that's important to us. So I'm going to just go ahead and read a couple of these comments before we go. Adult storytelling. Okay, Kristen, that you and I are going to have to talk about that. Hawks and crows, you don't know who they represent. I see deer every single time I remind you to keep my heart open. During the most random times of day, I saw 3 last week at 1 p.m. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So like we know these messages are for us. And when we receive them, do so with the utmost gratitude and they'll keep showing up. I've found that of like lately, because I don't pretend like it's not a miracle. In fact, I embrace the fullness of the miracle whenever I get my signs and my validation. Because of that, it's showing up like this. And the key here, you guys, is the balance of the feminine and the masculine. So yes, receiving it, appreciating it, loving it, feeling it in your heart. But then when you see those signs, you're being asked to change a habit, a thought, to do something differently. So what is that thing that you're being asked to do differently? And are you going to actually do it? Because that's when the synchronicities, the manifestations start showing up. Boom, 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 boom. But the key is we need to get out of our own way. We need to believe in this divinity that's trying to guide us and trust that it's giving us every single thing that we need in order to move forward. All right, we've got this. This day is exciting. I'm excited. I had a beautiful morning. I'm just feeling really alive and really just in love with life. And, you know, there's so much change and there's so much crazy happening out in the world. But I don't think there's a single one of us who doesn't also see the beauty and the miracles and the joy. And if we can just trust in that, we're going to be good. True Life Tuesday. Like Kristen said, let's crush it. Post, on this thread later on today, if you see a bird, I have a feeling we're calling them in, right? Women. Okay, bye.